If I only cared about re-elected when I was contacted about baseball at Frame Park, I would have hung up the phone and said, let's not bother, because 4 years earlier, the proposal was for a professional team and a $6 million statement, which would have not been good for Frame Park or the city. That process ended up with a vote to not even discuss it. So when I was contacted by Mr. Bauer, the first three things I said was, number one, it has to be on the existing footprint of the ball field where baseball's been played since the 1930s. Number two, it can't cost taxpayers hardly any money because of our tight budgets. And number three, we're going to have a lot of public discussion before we decide to move forward. Before that proposal went anywhere, I met with our city administrator, our Parks, Rec, and Forestry director, our community development director, our finance director, and it was only after many meetings that the staff agreed it would be worth having the public discussion that we decided not to go directly to the Park Rec Board, which is the first decision maker, but we decided to set up an ad hoc committee. The only person that I knew how they would vote on that was a representative from the Fox River Development Board that we met out of courtesy with them, even though they'd been long disbanded, because we wanted their input. We did not know how the school district, Carroll Business Improvement District, Waukesha County Economic Development Corporation Director, and other players. That committee had very public deliberations. Now, unfortunately, not a lot of the public came to those public meetings or followed it until we were about 3 months into the process, and it did go to Park Rec for a lot more public comment. By the time it went to our Common Council in August, we had a record amount of public comment and debate. The majority of the public that spoke that night spoke in favor. Ultimately, it was the decision of the Waukesha Common Council which voted to move it forward. Of course, that was about 2 months before the economy collapsed, and even though that proposal didn't happen, I'm proud of the fact that we saved $10,000 in our budget on maintenance because Mr. Bauer acted in good faith. He also made upgrades to the field at no cost to the taxpayers. And I think the process, whether you like the proposal or not, was one of the most open and transparent discussions with a lot of citizen input, more than we've ever had probably on any other issue.
As the candidate who answered first, Mr. Scrima has another minute.
As far as how the Frame Park situation went down, I'll just let the citizens decide on that, and the people that were there and watched it happen. Again, I'm just going to repeat what I said before. If we get to a very important issue for our community, or an issue that's going to cost tens of millions of dollars, we do need to slow down. These decisions often affect our community for decades. You know, could affect our community for 50 or 100 years. And we need to listen to our citizens. And if it is a very contentious issue, a referendum would be appropriate. Thank you.
The next question is also to both candidates, with Mayor Nelson answering first. Waukesha has what is often called a weak merit system, in which the administrator develops the budget and brings it to the Common Council. In that context, what do you view as the responsibilities of the mayor? And noting that we pay $200,000 in combined salaries for mayor and city administrator, do you believe such an expenditure is justified?
The short answer is yes. Waukesha has grown to be the 7th largest city in the state with a $55 million budget, and the budget process is very complex. I sit down with the city administrator in the summer. We talk about where we are with the budget. Like this last summer, we had a $2 million deficit because of cuts in shared revenue, unfunded state mandates, loss of interest income, and there were a lot of meetings with the city administrator, myself, department directors, the finance department to get the budget to a place where it was presented to the Common Council for 6 weeks of discussion. While that is going on, as mayor, we spent the first part of this debate talking about the water issues. I've spent a lot of hours collaborating with Dan Dukniak, the water utility staff, going to Madison to meet with our legislators. I'm very proud of my collaboration with Senator Kedzie and Representative Kramer in this area to get the Great Lakes Water Compact passed. That was a year of activity. In the last year, meeting with Mayor Barrett, meeting with members of the Milwaukee Common Council, meeting with business people, that is all happening while the budget is going on. We just had an issue with the state legislature wanting to take our right away to regulate sex offenders. Some people have criticized that I took a leadership position as president of the Wisconsin Alliance of Cities. But because I was in Madison on March 12th chairing that meeting, I was able to bring that issue to the Alliance of Cities and get that organization's support to lobby against taking away our right to regulate sex offenders, and I believe that effort is going to be successful. I've been criticized for getting us involved in the U.S. Conference of Mayors, but because I've participated in that national organization, last June I had the honor of accepting a $150,000 award for lead safety. We beat out cities like Phoenix and Atlanta to win that award, and I'm working with the Family Wellness Collaborative with city, county staff, and nonprofit people where we're going to make homes more lead safe. And just 2 weeks ago, we found out we got a second federal grant for $92,000. That's a $250,000 return on our $5,000 membership. I think that's a pretty good return on our investment. And those of you old enough to remember 20 years ago, the last child to die of lead poisoning was in Waukesha. My participation in those state and national groups has benefited the city, while the city administrator makes sure the day-to-day operations are going smoothly.
Yes, the city of Waukesha currently has a number of significant issues that need to be addressed. Because of the number of issues that need to be addressed, and in order to move our city forward, rather than being 2 or 3, 4 years behind other cities around the country, if we want to catch up and then be a leader in our county, if we want to be a leader in the state, there's a lot of work to be done. The mayor acts as a CEO. He does directly work with the administrator in establishing the budget. He also chairs the council meetings, he chairs the plan commission, he's on the water utility. Most importantly, he's the intermediary between the public and the city departments to make sure that the services and the work is getting done. And the mayor's role is to cast the vision for the community. I find it interesting as far as casting the vision and working with the community that we redid Frame Park, which was absolutely beautiful, and we have this beautiful theater here that we're in right now, which was a great private-public partnership. And I've seen very little of that in the last 4 years. I've seen very little vision cast for the future of this community. I believe the mayor needs to set high goals. There are improvements to be made. We need to improve our gateways coming into the city. We need to be known as a leader for family friendliness, a leader in the arts, a leader in ethnic festivals. Someday when people around the country hear the word Waukesha, they can think, the #1 arts community, or you've got to see their festival on the river. It's worth the 5-hour drive, or wow, Waukesha, that's where I want to raise my family. We're a good community, but we still have a long way to go, and that is also one of the primary roles of the mayor is to cast the vision and to move us forward. Thank you.